everyone, I am Dr. Dhruvi Sinha from the School of Liberal Arts, and in our last few classes we spoke about listening, not just as a skill but as a kind of awareness. We said that to really listen is to step beyond yourself for a moment and make space for another person's truth. Many of you shared moments when someone truly listened to you and how seen that made you feel. Your little notes of gratitude in your logbooks and your presentations on stage, those stories stayed with me. And today, we take that thought a step further. If listening is one half of communication, the other half is expression, the part where we give shape to our thoughts and let our ideas find voice. The art of saying something clearly, kindly, and with purpose is just as important as the art of hearing. So today we will explore both listening, which helps us receive meaning, and expression, which helps us share it, and the quiet signals that move beneath words and the deliberate choices that make speech powerful. I often say that language is not just what we say, but what we mean. And meaning lives in how we move, how we look and pause. And communication begins even before words appear. It is a living act that connects us to the other and to ourselves. Learning to speak well means learning to think clearly, feel responsibly, and listening with intent. Yet, even though we speak, write, and listen every day, we often mistake expression for communication. What we send is not always what is received. And true communication is more than exchanging words. It's a meeting of meanings, of turning information into understanding and understanding into connection. When connection fails, it's not silence that causes it, but the absence of true listening. As we talked about this in the last video, Stephen Covey, in his 1989 book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, pointed out that most people listen to reply rather than to understand. He described 5 levels of listening, from ignoring to empathetic listening, which means listening to feel without judgment or interruption. And practicing empathetic listening helps others feel truly seen, and that can build trust quickly, often more than hours of talking can. If we look deeper, much of communication happens without words. Psychologists Albert Mehrabian's research from the late 1960s found that only 7% of meaning comes from words, 38% comes from the tone of voice, and 55% comes from the body language. These figures are not strict rules, but they are reminders that what we say is inseparable from how we say it. And tone and gesture often carry the emotion that words only decorate. Non-verbal communication has its own vocabulary. Like kinesis is the language of movement, a nod that affirms, a shrug that questions, a folded arm that guards. Proxemics is how we use space, the distance we keep, the nearness we allow. Haptics is touch, the handshake, the pat on the back, the supportive hand on a shoulder. Paralinguistics refers to the sound of speech, the tone, pace, pitch, and pause that shape how meaning is felt. Chronemics is time, how our sense of punctuality, delay, or urgency conveys respect or indifference. Every gesture, every silence, every pause adds a shade to the message we send. But to communicate well with others, we must also understand ourselves. Which is why I want you to know about the Johari window, created by psychologists Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham in 1955. That offers a way to do this. It divides the self into 4 spaces. The open area, known to both self and others. The blind area, which others see but we don't. The hidden area, which we know but choose not to share. And the unknown area yet to be discovered by anyone. As we communicate honestly and invite feedback, our open area widens, and we live with greater self-awareness. The more open the window, the clearer the view. Another helpful framework is Eric Berne's transactional analysis from the late 1950s. He explained communication through three ego states: parent, which speaks with authority or care; adult, which speaks with logic and calm; and child, which speaks with spontaneity or emotion. Conflict often happens when one speaks from the parent and the other from the child. Healthier communication happens adult to adult, respectful, aware, and balanced. Asking which part of me is speaking can change the direction of any conversation. And communication can be one way or two way. One way is like an announcement email, no reply is expected. Two way is interactive, like a classroom discussion. In organizations, communication also moves vertically or horizontally. Vertical communication moves up or down the chain of command. Downward gives instruction, upwards shares feedbacks or ideas. Horizontal communication happens between peers or supporting teamwork. There's also grapevine communication, which is informal. It spreads fast but is not always reliable, like gossip. Formal communication follows official channels, while informal is casual and natural. Knowing these forms helps you choose the right style for each situation. Now, our personal style of communicating also defines how we are perceived. Like the passive communicator avoids conflict and often goes unheard. The aggressive communicator dominates and silences others. The passive-aggressive communicator resists indirectly through sarcasm or withdrawal. And the assertive communicator finds balance. It's honest yet respectful. It's confident yet kind. And assertiveness is not about volume, but about dignity. It's about the ability to express one's needs clearly without diminishing anyone else's. Still, even the clearest message can stumble over barriers. Like physical barriers arise from noise, distance, or environment. Semantic barriers appear when words carry different meanings for different people. Psychological barriers come from stress, from prejudice, or defensiveness. Cultural barriers emerge when gestures or idioms mean different things across societies. The only way through these barriers is awareness and patience, slowing down, clarifying, listening without the armor of assumption. All these elements come together in public speaking. When we stand before an audience, everything we have learned about communication becomes visible. Our posture shows confidence. Our tone sets the mood. Our eye contact builds connection. Our timing holds attention. And our authenticity earns belief. Aristotle, in his Rhetoric written in the 4th century BCE, said that persuasion depends on three pillars: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is the speaker's credibility. Pathos is the emotional appeal, and logos is the logical reasoning behind the speaker's argument. A good speech balances all three. It feels honest, it moves the heart, and makes sense to the mind. The rule of three is a simple but powerful way to structure a speech. A good speech has three parts: a beginning that grabs attention, a middle with clear points, and an ending that leaves a lasting impression. And our minds remember things in threes better because they feel complete and are easy to recall. And good public speaking is about presence. It's not about performance. It's about standing in your truth. It's about speaking slowly and using silence effectively. In the digital age, our communication travels faster than our thoughts. Messages, emails, and posts create impressions before we even arrive in person. Yet, the same principles apply online as offline. Be clear, concise, and courteous. Avoid unnecessary capitalization, sarcasm, or emotional excess. End every message with respect. So before pressing send, pause. Ask three questions. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Digital communication, when it's done mindfully, extends rather than erases our humanity. As we come to the end of the lecture, we return to reflection, because communication is not a skill that ends with a certificate. It's a practice that deepens with awareness. David Kolb's reflective framework offers a way to keep growing. We begin with experience, with every interaction we have. Then we move to reflection, thinking about what happened and why it happened. Next comes conceptualization, identifying what principle or pattern emerged. And finally, we experiment, trying a new approach next time. The cycle never ends. Each conversation becomes the ground for the next. For your task this week, I want you to observe one meaningful conversation you have. And after it ends, take a few minutes to reflect on how it unfolded. What worked well? What could you have done differently? Did the other person communicate something without using words? Maybe through tone, through gesture, or silence. Note down one thing you noticed that you have not noticed before, and consciously try it yourself the next time you communicate. So, looking back, communication is about presence, not performance. It's about meaning what you say. Mehrabian's 7:38:55 rule reminds us that most meaning comes from tone and body language. Covey's 5 listening levels teach that true understanding transforms conversations. And assertive communications work best. In public speaking, balance ethos, pathos, and logos. And for structuring your speech, use the rule of 3 for greater impact. As you leave this classroom, remember, good communication begins with attention. So listen with curiosity, speak with care, write with honesty, and pause before you react. The most powerful communicators are not those who speak the most, but those who make others feel truly understood. The language beneath words, that of empathy, of clarity and awareness, is what keeps the world connected. So, thank you for your attention today. Keep these in mind. I will see you soon.